DoorDash raising its base pay on certain orders? Let's talk about it on this segment of the Gig Geezer. If this is your first time checking out the Gig Geezer, hey, thanks for coming by. And if you would not mind, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. Now, I have just completed a DoorDash order in which the offer amount was $16 for one item, Chick-fil-A. And I've noticed an interesting trend lately with certain orders. And all I can do is just speak of my observations because I have nothing to go off of. As you know, with DoorDash is likely to do a little bit of anything to get an order delivered. And I think DoorDash is doing something that may benefit some of us drivers who have chosen not to go along with the accept more, earn more program. And we're going to talk about that.
Alrighty, we're here at the Gig Studio, and I wanted to talk about how I noticed something different of late on the DoorDash app. And it began with a stacked pizza delivery order in which the offer amount was $28. And this was something I posted on my community page. What was different was that not only the stacked order being $28, but one of the orders had paid $16. The base amount was $12 and the tip was $4. The second order was more proportional in that it was a $9 base, I suppose. You can call it proportional, in that it was a $9 base with a $3 tip on top. Now, I didn't think anything of it because it was Saturday night, and I was in the midst of just running up my numbers because I'd already had a pretty decent day earlier. And so it was what it was. But then it happened again the next morning. In fact, I noticed it in my most recent Gig Geezer segment, this segment here, in which the base pay was $12.50 and the tip was all of $1.29 for a total of $13.79 order. Now, I was thinking at that time that it was more so of a coincidence than anything else. So I began looking for these type of orders. In fact, they start coming in on Monday evening, December 19, 2022. The first one of that kind came through was a pizza order that had an offer amount of $18.70. It had a $12.50 base, and then it had a $6.20 tip on top. And three of the four additional orders that I accepted that evening were all similar. Higher base pay, accompanied by little or no tip. In fact, in order, there was a Dollar General 5 packs of Kool-Aid plus freezer bags. The offer amount was $16.75, of which $14.75 was the base. Next was Lowe's. It was a sewing caddy kit. That item alone was less than $8. There was an offer amount of $16. There was zero tip on it. And then the last one was a Sonic. Now, I took that one because it was for $11.75, and I wanted to end my evening, and it also put me over my stated goal of $200 for the day. There was a $9.75 base, $2 tip on top. Then on Wednesday, December 21st, I saw another round of these type of orders. Now, it started with the evening grind, in which I had a stacked pizza delivery from Papa John's. The offer amount was $24.80. The first one had a $12 base and zero tip. The second one had an $8.75 base and a $4.05 tip. The next was a Pizza Hut order to an apartment. 2 items, $16.50 offer. I didn't think much of the tip, that there would be much of a tip, and I was pretty much right. It was $12.50 base, $4 on top with the tip. The last order was a large order program opportunity, which was kind of a disappointment. But then again, when I think back, I delivered to these people during the summer, and they were not really the most overly generous tippers. The offer amount was $12.75, 4 items from Red Lobster, and it paid $18.35. Now, today is Friday, December 23rd, 2022. So far this week, I have completed 15 orders. only one order has been a large order program opportunity. And and as I just mentioned, it had an offer amount of $12.75 and it paid $18.35. But so far this week, I have earned $216.10 on the DoorDash app, averaging overall $14.40 per order. The large order opportunity was $18.35, as I've mentioned again for the third time. And my non-large order opportunities, which have been 14 of them, have averaged $14.12. Now, 13 of those orders have been with these high base and little to zero tip. And of those 13, I've been averaging right at about $13 an order. In fact, the exact number is $12.98. Just to put it into some kind of perspective, a zero tip order here in the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area is $2.50. I happen to go up to Charlotte on a couple occasions in the past week, and the base amount in Charlotte is $2.25. Just for a little bit of background information. What have been some of my thoughts having seen these orders? Well, first thing to come to mind is that DoorDash's algorithm understands our order selection tendencies. That's the first thing that came to mind. But then again, I thought, well, did I mistakenly have myself on earn by time? When in fact, I'm always looking for earn per order. And in fact, I was on earn per order, but I checked a couple of times just to make sure I had not put myself on earn by time by mistake. The other thing I thought about is this DoorDash's way of sneaking in a $12.50 minimum per hour in my market. That's a part of the earn by time. In fact, when you do earn by time, it's a $12.50 base, and you're supposed to earn 100% of all the tips. But here's the catch. If I'd been on earn by time, having declined as many orders as I do, I would have been booted out of that pay mode. So I was in fact in earn per order. Then again, I thought, is this DoorDash's way of getting back at those of us who maintain low acceptance rates by sending us all of these bad orders? Then I began to revisit my thought on the algorithm. Is this DoorDash's way of enticing people like me to accept orders? Now, I mentioned this in a previous Gig Geezer segment, and this is based on DoorDash's literature, that DoorDash will entice the driver. They will entice the driver by raising the base on these orders. In fact, the three components that make up how DoorDash determines the base amount or the offer amount is based on desirability, distance, and duration. Many of us talk about no tip, no trip. Well, having completed a number of these orders this week, I guess I'm beginning to say no trip, maybe I'm beginning to say no tip, no trip. Maybe. Well, one thing I noticed is that my acceptance rate did rise from single digits to as high as 21%. But as of yesterday, in fact, if you look at these numbers here, my acceptance rate is at 16%, which is still on a high end for the Gig Geezer. Then again, if you really look at my numbers, the only metric that separates me from many of those who are unabashed about mining for carbon crystals and are unabashed about performing the work of a Tony Zhu employee is one metric that's in red. So how can some of you say that I am a bad driver? I would think that a bad driver is one who has managed a marginal at best customer rating, one who is struggling to keep it above the deactivation number at 4.20. But then again, hey, what makes me a bad driver? Because I choose to refuse more than 90% of the offers that typically come across my phone screen. So let's get to the actual footage.
All right, I am in the process of completing this DoorDash order. It is one item, 7 miles, might as well say 8. The offer amount is $16. Now, one item, $16. The reason why I jumped at it, because when I looked at the map, I thought that this was actually a catering order, because sometimes a catering order will come across as one item sometimes with that dollar amount. And because of where it was going on the map, it's actually going across the street from the actual building that I've delivered several catering orders to. So that's what prompted me to jump at it, in addition to the $16. Come to find out, this is going to some college kid or somebody who's working at the university. And from what I can tell, this is a trend of orders that I've been seeing on the DoorDash app within the past week. DoorDash, I have been seeing a number of orders with we would say high offer amounts. I'm talking about offer amounts of $12.50 and above. But when you hit confirm drop off or complete order, the order has this high base pay but little to no tip. I'm talking about tips that actually have no tips, tips that have $1.29, $2, $3. It's the ratio, if you will, the base amount to the tip amount does not make any sense. Typically, when you see an order that offers $16, you're thinking, oh, well, maybe this. Well, if the number of items are right, you're thinking that this order is going to pay. But that's not been the case. And so I'm wondering if DoorDash is offering those of us who have been very proud to say that we, actually I shouldn't say it like that. I'm wondering if DoorDash is offering some type of consolation to us drivers who are very obstinate, stubborn, or just at the very least have chosen to maintain a low acceptance rate. We have chosen not to reset our acceptance rate. We have chosen not to go along with the accept more, earn more program. And I believe at times, I've never said this until now, at least publicly for public consumption. I've never said that I do believe in some ways DoorDash wants you to succeed, and the algorithm will do certain things to put you in a position to succeed. Now, that may be the case for those who have spoken of platitudes about the DoorDash accept more, earn more program. And some of those drivers may swear by the fact that they have seen a better quality of order and a better paying quality of order. I have shown, at least in my segments of the Gig Geezer, that I've seen no difference with what DoorDash has done in terms of penalizing me with quality of orders. I've seen a drop off in the volume of orders, but in terms of quality order, I've still been able to average at least $15 an order overall. And whenever I do get the large order program opportunities, they've been averaging somewhere in that $25 to $27 range altogether. And my non-large order program opportunities have been somewhere close to the overall average number. When you start taking into consideration what I've been seeing lately, I would say that the average order, because I've not done any actual number crunching lately, but I would venture to say that if you look at some of the orders that I've shown from the Gig Studio, that average has been somewhere consistent in that $12 to $15 range. I think that's a pretty accurate thing. But you're coming along with me just to see exactly what this order paid, because in a previous Gig Geezer segment, I talked of how to protect yourself, or how to save yourself, how to deal with DoorDash's time crunch. What I believe now, DoorDash, that's one way of DoorDash trying to take something back from you, put you in a position where it's trying to sweat you for time. What is supposed to happen is when you accept orders that are right upon the estimated arrival time or after the estimated arrival time, the DoorDash app is supposed to adjust, reset, and give you a proportionate amount of time to get to the restaurant. That doesn't always happen. And so that's why that particular order was one of those where there was a high base pay, but little to no tip. So I'll get back with you once we drop off this order because I have to call this person. Now, I just dropped off that order. It was to a young lady who works in the School of Engineering. What made this order kind of fit within the trend of things is that, again, it was a high base pay and it was low tip. This was actually one of the higher tips that I've seen on the orders lately. Base pay on this order, as you see here, was $13. The tip, as you see here, $3. Total payment, $16. Well, order like that, I'll take it any day.
All right, everyone. If you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hey, hit that subscribe button. Give my content a thumbs up. Share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. Now, I still believe in this personal adage of accept less, earn more. It's not about accepting more to earn more. I'll also continue to say the best way of thriving in today's gig economy climate is to work multiple apps, and when it makes sense to you, stacking orders across multiple apps. The last thing I'll say is that in order to see business-like results, you have to treat this in what you're doing as a business. I also want to note one of the sources or one of the underlying motivations of doing this segment of the Gig Geezer is that one of my subscribers, goes by the name of Light, had sent me an email earlier this week asking me if I'd seen the same thing lately, which I confirmed that I'd been seeing the same thing in my market. And after some thought and after having seen more of this happening, I figured that it may be something worthy of bringing it to everyone's attention. Now, initially, I wanted to end this segment of the Gig Geezer on those thoughts. But then I just completed my evening hustle for today, again, December 23rd, 2022. And for the day, I made over $272, and it took me all of 7 hours. And for the week, I've put in altogether 4 days, and I'm at $936.27, meaning that I've averaged over $234 each day. And I've put in right at about 30 hours, which translates in about a little over $31 an hour. I am the biggest advocate of turning down orders that don't fit within my parameters. And I'm also the first to ridicule, speak derisively, and trash people who happily accept every order, including those that are non-tipping situations. But this is where these kind of orders are so different. We're talking about orders that when you see the offer are more than likely to have zero tip or very little tip. But yet these kinds of orders, at least dollar-wise, more than fit within my parameters. And again, what are my parameters? I have often shared numerous occasions that when it comes to food delivery orders, my parameters, or at least my preferences, are single orders, $8 or more, stacked orders, $14 or more. And yes, I do employ some kind of dollar per mile test. Now, just this evening, all 4 orders that I completed during my evening grind and hustle on the DoorDash app, they totaled $55.73. The total tip for all those orders, $6.23, meaning that $49.50 was base money. Now, I ask you, am I a hypocrite? Or am I making a smart business decision? Now, am I a part of the problem? Because when you think about it, in a sense, I am enabling these kinds of people to continue their pattern of not tipping or tipping very little. Now, what they don't know is the kind of money that DoorDash is putting on these orders in order for them to eat, drink, piss, and shit out the food that they've eaten. But at the same time, this is the stone cold truth. Now, that said, when I updated my DoorDash numbers for the week so far, this is what prompted me to also do the addendum. So far this week, because on December 24th, Christmas Eve, I'm going to put in a half a day. And most of the places, at least in the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area, most of the places are going to be closed by 6 o'clock. So I'm putting in a half a day, as I just mentioned. But to this point, I've made $336.67 on the app. That includes a $5 tip that I got during my first half hustle today. 22 orders have been completed for an average of $15.16. One large order opportunity was completed, and that was for $18.35. And then that meant that I had 21 non-large order program opportunities. They've averaged to this point $15.01. 14 of these non-large order program opportunities were orders in which the tips were $6.20 or less. Now, I included the $6.20 tipping order opportunity because the offer amount on that order was $18.70, because I know that was a high offer for the kind of order that it was. It was a Pizza Hut order, 2 items, and it was going like 6 miles. That's on the high side for those type of orders. Now, the average pay for these low to non-tipping orders have been $14.19. When I combine the total tip on all these suspect orders to this point, the total tip of these orders was $23.48, meaning that the average of these orders was $1.68. But yet, when you look at what I've done so far this week, I have made over $330 on the app, having completed only 22 orders. Well, that's something to think about. And if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm Inwood Lane, and as always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.